All right, okay, so in this video, we're going to go out for the next section, which is, this little section here. So smooth bind does exactly as coming up here and going to bind skin, smooth bind options. Exact same thing. I already went over what settings you should use. These are usually the default settings. You can try different ones. Like I said, unless you're doing interactive skin bind, then they may cause some problems. But you can try the different ones on here. But you have a little bit more, a little bit more options. Anyway, so that just opens up that. And so that's that one. Very easy. Detached skin. Now this detached skin is not detached with history. This is like detached skin coming right up here and going detached skin. Whatever your settings are here. So it's not detached with history. It's just straight out detached skin. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now these for avatars for weight transferring. This is good. Okay, so these are fitted mesh avatars, and these are the second section here, not fitted mesh avatars rigged to the M bones / normal bones, or for what you call classic rigging. I should probably rename these to say classic rigging. So you have four avatars. You have two for female, one fitted mesh, one non-fitted mesh or classic rigging to the female, and one for male fitted mesh, and one for classic rigging male. Okay, so if you click on any one of them, it does a couple of things. It hides the original avatar, and it shows you the avatar. I made this avatar specifically here for transferring. So you see the vertices are a lot closer together, a lot more evenly distributed, and I spent many hours trying to get it to follow the real avatar's shape. So if you were to come here for fitted mesh, you would see that it changes. You come over here to the layers menu, and you can see this female fitted mesh is selected. And if I show the default avatar, you can see how closely it matches the real avatar's body, which is not that great. But it is as close as I could get it. Oh, see, we're having a problem here because I had detached the I messed around with the upper body before. So, but anyway, we'll just ignore that. You probably can't even see it. I happen to notice little things. So anyway, so it follows the body as close as possible. Yeah, see, when I had depatched it in an earlier video and deleted the history, it got rid of the blend shapes. That's why this is not doing. So let me start a new scene and activate the female avatar again. And hopefully, unless I really mess something up, no, there we go. Okay, so I'll activate the fitted mesh female avatar again, and you notice it hid the original and showed the fitted mesh avatar. And now when I make her body fat get bigger, there we go. Okay. So what these are for transferring the weights from. So if you had a mesh top, you can transfer the weights from this avatar to your mesh clothing to transfer the weights to get you probably like 80 or 90% done, depending on how. It all depends on the type of clothes you're making. Is it real skimpy? Is it real tight? Is it showing a lot of skin? The skimpier, tighter, more skin showing, the more difficult the weighting is. So if you were doing a loose jacket, this would probably get you, you know, almost all the way done. You know, like 95% of the way done. If you were doing a bikini, this might get you about 80% of the way done. But it will at least get you there, and you won't have to start off from scratch. So that's what these avatars are for. And so, and there's, you know, there's one for female, there's one for male, you know, although you'd probably be using the male avatar. But it also responds the same way. Let's see. And then there's non-fitted female. This is classic rigging. And remember, classic rigging is not affected by the appearance sliders. See? Even if I show the avatar, it's not affected at all. Because it's classic rigging. Classic rigging is not to the collision bones. And if we were to come here and do female walk and play it, you see it's rigged. It is actually rigged. Okay. Same for fitted mesh male, fitted mesh female. You know. So that's what these four are for. 1 through 4. Now let's go back to the T-pose. Okay. So now this section down here is for how to transfer the weights, and you have two different options. You can substitute geometry, which works really best for 2009 and older. It seems to do a lot better, and like I said, I have a video that shows how to use these different, you know, goes into detail. But substitute geometry opens up substitute geometry options, and I have a video that goes through all these and shows you how to do it. Okay. Or you can, nice thing about substitute geometry, you start off with something that's completely unrigged. You just make, you know, you just put, if it's a top, you just put the top where it's supposed to be and select, you come in here and you select fitted mesh female, hold down the shift key, select your mesh clothing, and then do the substitute geometry, and that's it. It's rigged, you know, or at least it's rigged. You might still have to adjust it, but it'll get you 80–90% there. But all the bones will be there. It'll have all the bones in the collision in the skin cluster ready to be uploaded to Second Life. There are some drawbacks. There's some pitfalls. You got to watch the video to know what to watch out for and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, you'll have to find that video. I'm just going over a quick overview. The other way of doing it is to rig your mesh top first very quickly with smooth bind skin to the skeleton. And then you quickly smooth bind it to all the collision bones, if you're doing collision bones, and add the normal bones or the M bones to the skin cluster, and then you would copy the weights from. Let me see. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we go earlier version, skin cluster bone names, and yeah, you can see that it has all the collision bones are in here, and all the M bones are in the skin cluster. So this mesh could actually be uploaded, but highly recommend you don't upload this mesh. It's a lot of vertices. It's a lot of it's not really meant to be uploaded to Second Life. It is way too polygons. It's just, you don't, there is no need to have this many polygons around the knees. I only have them there to transfer the weight for that specific purpose. This is not a good avatar to upload to Second Life. Please do not use it. You know, you can, I mean, nothing's going to stop you, but yeah, please don't. You know, look at the hands. They look like paddles. You know, no fingers, no face. Yeah, you don't want to use it. So, okay. So, so here's some other tools. Detached Skin with History. You can do that to detach the skin with history for whatever reason. You have Sculpt Geometry tool. Oh, that's right. Okay. you can detach the skin with history, and you have to do that before you can actually use the Sculpt Geometry tool on rigged mesh. So if you had something that was poking through just a little bit, and you wanted to you just needed to pull out that vertice out just a little bit, just a hair, so that it wasn't poking through anymore. Instead of trying to adjust the weights, you can do it. You can go into vertex mode, and you could try to move it, but a lot of times what will happen is this will go crazy. It'll go all bonkers when you try to move it out just a little bit. You know, especially if let's see, let's go to body fat. See, you had body fat, and you're just trying to move it just a little bit. Now, of course, Maya 2014 is making me a liar. But if you tried to do that on something that you copied the weights from, or that you did substitute geometry with, this vertice would go crazy. As you tried to pull it, it would shoot out in one direction or the other. It wouldn't move. You know, like say you just needed just a little bit, and you didn't want to come in here and try to paint the weights just to get that little tiny bit. You just wanted to move it a little bit. If you try to do that with a mesh that used substitute geometry, or a mesh that used copy skin weights, it would go crazy. Okay, so what you have to do, because when you do that, it creates on your mesh clothing, it creates an input node. You know, and when you try to move the vertice, it then tries to recalculate, and it goes nuts. So that's why this detach with history is there, because when you detach the skin with history, it only keeps the weighting information. It doesn't keep any other inputs. You know, so that's why we lost the blend shape of that upper body before, because we detached with history. It gets rid of that substitute geometry node, or that copy skin weights node. That would be in the inputs. You know, so it cleans up the mesh a little bit so that those inputs for the Sculpt Geometry or copy weights doesn't interfere when you're trying to move the vertice, which they do. They make it impossible to move the vertice. At least it shoots off. You know, you can't move it just a little tiny bit like you wanted to. It just shoots off like crazy. Okay, so that's why you detach skin with history. And then you can either sculpt geometry to redo the sculpt geometry, you know, to like instead of grabbing one vertice and moving it, you can use the Sculpt Geometry tool if you want. You don't have to. And you can actually use the Sculpt Geometry tool while the mesh is actually rigged. So you could do a smooth blind skin to the skeleton again, and you'd have all your weighting information back, but not the you wouldn't have the substitute geometry or copy skin weights node in the inputs. So now you could then go to Sculpt Geometry, and you could come in here and you could sculpt the you know, if you just wanted to make subtle changes while it's rigged, which is really nice. Let's see. Then we have, and the Sculpt Geometry tool is the same as coming up here to Polygons, Mesh, Sculpt Geometry tool. Same exact thing. It's just saving you from having to go and find it, being all in one place. Same thing with Paint Skin Weights tool. It's just here. It's the exact same thing as clicking on and going and getting the Paint Skin Weights tool, but it's just more convenient to have it here. Okay. And then there's a Create Bind Pose, if you wanted to create a different bind pose. And let's see. So that does it for the weight avatars for weight transfer. So let's get out of Paint Skin Weights tool. Close this. Let's open up MayaStar again. I'm just going to close these things. So okay. Now on to Skin weights tools. Okay, again, this is a section that basically all these tools are already in Maya. They're just under various different menus. You know, the paint skin weights tool is in one menu, the export skin weights, you know, the import copy weights, all those, you know, and the only thing I added was custom bind pose. So this custom bind pose, create bind pose, is the same as this create bind pose, and the same as custom bind pose here. There's one other one. I thought there was one other one to create custom bind pose. So anyway, so that's what these are, and they do exactly. This is detached skin. This is not detached skin with history. It's just a regular detached skin. Smooth bind skin, same thing as smooth bind skin over here, or if you go up to the menus up here and find smooth bind skin, same exact thing. Export skin weights. This is Maya's default export skin weights. I highly recommend you do not use it. It sucks. They've never fixed it, in that it saves the weights as a black and white grayscale image. And so you have to make your map size really, the smaller your map size, the less accurate it is. But you can make your map size as huge as you want, and it's still not going to import the same exact weights as you exported, no matter what you try, no matter how high you set that value. And I don't like it at all. You have to make sure that your UVs for your mesh, that there are no overlapping UVs for the mesh that you're going to export out, because it saves it as the UV pattern, you know, as the UV pattern. So if you have very small UV pattern layout for some reason, that means you have even less space for the image to be on. I guess what they do is they take the UV and then they say, okay, this is the UV, this is the place on the UV layout. Let's see what the value of the grayscale is for right underneath that particular UV. It sucks. It's never worked for me very well at all, no matter how hard I try. You know, I don't even think I have a UV pattern for it. Yeah, see, I don't even have a UV pattern for my... Oh yeah, I do. Although they're blank. I should delete these UV maps. Let's go here to the default skeleton. Let's turn that off. And say we're exporting the weights out for this. Okay, I would make a grayscale image laid out just like this, where the value of the grayscale pixel behind, say, this one spot here, this vertice, would be red as the weight value. At least I think that's how it works, but I know it's grayscale value. They probably export out a different grayscale value depending on each bone or something, is all I could think of. But it sucks. It's an image. It's a grayscale. It should be saved digitally, because the weights are digital, you know, are numeric. You know, they are numeric. So why save it as an image, a grayscale image? So yeah. So try not to use that if you can avoid it. Import skin weights, it's the same thing. It imports a weight map, an image, you know, and it sucks. Copy skin weights, opens up the copy skin weights. Same thing here that was over here, copy weights. Yeah, same exact thing. But I just decided to put it in the same, make it more convenient for you to find it. Mirror skin weights options, like I said, these are all in, are all tools that are in Maya. I just try to make them more convenient. And of course you have the bind pose, create bind pose. So awesome. I think I'll end it there, and I'll come back for the next section.